Hi guys, and welcome back. This is another one of my COVID videos, and this is some gear I never thought I would find, let alone own two of. These are a pair of Spectra Video 808 computers. Now these were back in a time when there was a crossing, a hybrid with Bondwell taking over Spectra Video, and that they were PC, or XT to be precise, and MSX compatible. These machines were also part of the Falco estate sale that I got them from up in Auckland, along with the 601, 605s, and quite a few other Spectra Video bits and pieces I picked up. So, without any more mucking around, grab yourself a drink, something to eat if you want. This one is a little bit longer, and let's get on with it. Well guys, look what I've got. I would never have dreamt of owning two of these, and I only found out about these probably about 4 or 5 years back that they actually even existed. These are a pair of Spectra Video 808 PC MSX computers. They came out in a range of about 3 different models. The two most common were the 808 and the other was the 838. There was a model called an 818, but that may have been specific for some parts of the world, because I've not actually seen one, and from what I can find out, they all seem to be about the same sort of spec internally. These things are like the proverbial rocking horse stuff on the floor. So to get two of these, and not just two of these, but one was a Spectra Video branded model, and the other was a Frakin Computers branded model. Now back in the days when Bondwell took over Spectra Video and were playing around with stuff, they got a company called Frakin Computers to make these machines for them and branded them Spectra Video. But I take it, as they decided to wind up Spectra Video in the after effects of it imploding on itself because of the management of it, they allowed Frakin Computers to brand the machines as their own, and it must be something they did when they were just ditching the Spectra Video brand name. So I have two of these very unusual machines. I only happen to have one keyboard for the two machines, but they are a standard XT keyboard, so that's not such a biggie. So I do have one original. I will be doing a follow-up video for this at some stage with a more of a deep dive into the Spectra Video 808, and there will be some up and coming stuff that I'll also probably add into that, as you will see through this video as we progress. Anyway, let's carry on. The two machines I got, the Spectra Video had a manufacturing number of number 30, so very early on in the piece. The Frankin Computers had a model number of 53. So these were two very early off in the beginning of them, and from what I heard, other than around in Europe, these were not a very big seller. I don't know why. Bondwell did some really weird stuff, and I think they were more focusing on their own machines. So with these two machines, they were an XT PC compatible and an MSX1 compatible machine in the one box. They had a standard 8-bit ISA in them. It did have some Spectra Video hardware internally on the board, like the video processor and the sound. It had some of the 808 stuff in it, whereas it had the processor and some other bits and pieces in it. Now I don't know what sort of jiggery pokery they did inside there. I haven't gone right into that in depth, but as I said, this may be a later video that I will do. Now these machines I was fortunate to get from the Falco estate sale that happened up in Auckland around COVID. So I was very, very fortunate that I put my hand up originally and says I collect this gear, and I try to collect anything obscure and unusual for Spectra video that I don't have, and I was lucky enough to get it. So I'd like to thank those people very, very much for allowing me to do that. So anyway guys, let's get on with what we have and what I have done so far. So I have opened up the Spectra Video 808, and it has an 8-bit extra RAM card in it. Now this takes it up to 512k, and 2 floppy drives inside as well. I'm still looking for more info on these, as there are some chips that are not installed on the motherboards. I have the SVI 838 schematics, but the boards are a little bit different in those and don't quite match up. So if anybody can help me out there with information on the 808 or the 818 and the 838, I would be very, very grateful. The ones I have for the 838 are not very good quality, so it's very hard to read what stuff says, and it was not a very good scan when it was done. So if anybody has anything that's really, really good, please comment down below. And here we go. So I'm going to go through and put up some images of when I was disassembling these machines. So this is when I opened it up. So these were the floppy drive units. This is the first set of 2 drives that were in the original Spectra Video unit, and then disassembling it, there was the metal shield that goes over the case. And looking down here, these are where the floppy drive case screws are, the first set, and this is where the second set of the screws are. Now this is a shot of the base of the unit. Now inside this one, it had the RAM card in it. So this is the RAM card that was in the machine when I opened it up. And this is a shot looking underneath the floppy drive units before they were removed out of the case. And here we see the BIOS ROM in the board. And this is, of course, a shot of the first board, the Spectra Video board. And here you can actually see these were where the ICs were that are missing. And as I said, they look like video RAM or extra RAM for something. I'm just not sure. And this is where, if anybody has any information on these boards, and then can shine some sort of light on what these could be for, I would very much appreciate it. And that's maybe they are not used or not enabled for any way at all. I don't know. But yeah, if you can help, just drop us a message down below. So this is, as I said, they are the same board. Now here I've just gotten you a better picture of the RAM card so you can actually see. And here's these are going to be a few close-up shots of the motherboard, and I'm doing this more so to preserve the information for future generations if anybody wants to know what went where as well. So this is just a short tour of the board so you can see what there are. Now looking on the back here, there's these dip switches, and at this stage I'm just going like, these settings for onboard hardware, but it doesn't have a game card, so how can it be switched on? And I need a motherboard manual or some sort of schematics to know how to set these switches. It's not easy. Okay, so now this is the power pack for the 808s, the 818 and the 838. They all use exactly the same internal power brick. Now the power brick is 16 volts AC output, and man, do these guys love their AC power packs or what? So here is the DC power board, and this is what distributes it down to the 5 and 12 volts etc. that it needs. Just going over this, there's the power plugs, that's just where it goes to the main motherboard power, and we're going through, and this is a picture of the DC board from the front and the DC power board from the back. And as I say, a lot of these pictures I'm doing is to preserve the information. So I decided I'd go over and just check the DC voltages, which I've done here. And these are the floppy drive models. Now they do look a bit familiar, and I think I've had them before. And here is another pic of the BIOS. That basically was what was inside the Spectra Video 808. And the next lot I'm going to show you are the ones from out of the Frakin Computers 808. It's just a few minor differences, but most of it looks very much the same inside. So here we go, and we're taking off the MFS shield. Now this does need de-rusting. It is a little bit rusty, and as I have found, most of these machines, because they were stored in a garage basement, that it was quite cold and damp down there, so a lot of this metal, even though they may have been some form of plating on them at some stage, they have started to rust. So I do need to get into those and sort those out. Now this is it from the back, and these are the two screws to be removed from it so it can be decased as well. This one has a single floppy drive in its case, but room for a second. Man, is this one dusty inside or what? But the BIOS on inspection looks the same. One thing I did notice is they have the 828 BIOS in them, and they also have the Express 16 power packs. So I'm a little bit perturbed by this, because I've only ever known about the 808, the 818 and the 838. So what is an 828? Maybe it was for another country as well, so who knows. Or maybe the 828 BIOS was for English. I don't know. Anybody have this information? Could you please just comment down below or point me in a direction where I might be able to find out more information on this. Well, man, more dust. And here are some pictures of the board, some close-ups for preservation. This has the same VRAM and RAM sockets in it too as the earlier board did. And yes, it's got the same Express 16 power pack, the same DC board in it as well. And here I've taken the DC board out of this one. And the unusual thing is I noticed this one has a fan option on it, but there is no fan installed. So maybe they had an issue with heat with the early ones, or maybe this was an added extra to add a fan to reduce the heat. I don't know. As I say, again, there is very little information on these. This is one of the power units out to check it over at a later date. Because remember, these machines by his original blog were not powering up. They had no power. Now, this is the case without the PSUs in them. It's time to close it up and put it to one side and to check the voltages later. So it's been a few days and I've done a bit of a voltage check on this, and I'm a little perplexed. The Spectra video power supplies, the main black AC boxes, are both fine, and they both output the 16 volts AC on them. So I know there's not an issue on either of those. The first board I am testing, the DC board has plus 12 volts at about 11.96, which is okay. The plus 5 volts is 0. And this comes from a L4964 DC to DC IC on the board. The minus 12 is sitting at minus 14.41. And the minus 5 is sitting at 13.54. That's a wee bit high. Why? These are all unloaded voltages, but I wouldn't expect it to be that high. So now checking the other one, which was the Frakin Computers DC power supply. And as I said, the 16 volt AC is fine on both of these, so it is not these that has given me the problem. So the DC board out of that one gives me 12 volts and it's 12.11 volts, which is fine. The 5 volts is sitting at 5.12, which is still okay. It's a smidgen high, but it's still okay. The minus 12 volts is sitting at minus 14.52. The minus 5 volts is sitting at 13.73. And again, why are these so high? They should not be this high. And as I was saying, these are all unloaded voltages. So I would expect them to be a little bit high, but not that high. So thinking to myself, I was thinking, would it be okay to try the 13.5 volts on the 5 volt rail? No. I'm picking that's a fault. I'm picking there's an issue with the IC and there is something happened inside and it's gone faulty. Thinking this over and trying to work it out, so I decided to have another look at the Spectra Video 808 board, the one with the dead 5 volt rail. On checking it, I then lost the other voltages, and now it has, on the 12 volt rail, gone to 25 volts DC. So I decided there is definitely a fault with these boards, and I'm not chancing either of them. So I decided to remove all the components from the board for a few reasons, and these I will list. Number 1, there was a problem with some of the parts, and I will have to desolder them anyway to replace them. Number 2, the caps are probably from when they were made, so they might be drying out or there could be issues with them, so I really need to desolder those. Number 3, some of the diodes look like they've been in and out a wee bit on the board, i.e. someone's been playing with it. Number 4, the most important of all, is the circuit diagrams I have are of so low quality that when I blow them up, everything is a blur and I can't read bugger all. What better way to get the right values and the numbers but other than off an actual power supply board, right? One major thing I did notice was the boards were not made very well at all. The holes were all over the place for the components, with some of them not centered, and some of them were drilled on the very edge of pads and tracks. The other thing I noticed is some of the pads had even come off altogether, and I will need to see if I need them or not. So there may be a KiCad board remake coming soon, and in fact, heads up, there is. These are some of the pics of the boards as I was disassembling them, and also because I'm gonna have to redo these boards and try to make them better quality, I had to take some sizes of the boards while I was making them up in KiCad. And as I says, this will be in a separate video when we do a bit more in-depth dive into the 808. So I haven't put a list of all the parts. I'm not going to run through them all, but I will put them in the base of the video description if anybody is interested in them. There is a coil. I'm not sure what it is, as I don't have a coil measurement device to tell me what the rating is of that coil in henries or millihenries. Okay, so after a break over the long weekend, as I needed to clear my head, I had some time to check out the 808 keyboard. Really needs a clean. Also, a funny feeling that it's a rubber membrane type. I also need to see how I can fix the missing and broken keys. So here we go. On first looks, it looked like a normal type of key top. So I'm hoping, and if so, an easy fix to replace the broken parts. Man, look at the amount of crud under the keys. Did anybody lose a cat somewhere? A good clean out and it looks a lot better. Much better. Time to open it up and look inside now. Okay. Looks like someone's had a play inside here before. Yep, as I thought, they've been in here and they have rounded some of the screw heads off as well. Damn, oh well. Time for the multi-tool to fix the problem again. After a few minutes, and now they are flat blade heads. Ta-da! So, looking at the keyboard, there are screws around the outside that should allow the main unit to come out from the plastic front. But no, let's play hide two screws under everything so that you have to take the keyboard circuit board off to undo these last two screws that attach to the front of the frame. Fun. Now we must be careful taking the board off, as the key plungers will fall out when we turn the frame over. So take note, people. So yes, it is what I was hoping it was not. And it looks okay at first glance. Now let's remove the rubber and check that out now. I was hoping for a standard type key, but this is what we have. Well, maybe a bit of a clean and maybe it will be all good. Oh, really? No, don't tell me. Damn. Yep, someone's had a go in here as well. I hope there isn't, but maybe there is a keyboard remake coming. Oh well, it's all in a box now, till I make up my mind. At least I have the parts that I can read to remake the power supply. So it's been a little while and I've spent some time and I have the first remake of the DC to DC power boards coming for the 808 system. This is thanks to some people who have looked it over and checked the boards I redesigned, and these are from our Vintage Computer Facebook group, and I thank them very much. It will be a few weeks, I think, before they get here. Also, on another note, someone on the Facebook group had found a key plunger for a Spectra video key switch, and they are very similar. It's just that the 808, 818, 838, the plunger was leaned on an angle. So they went through it and redid the 3D CAD file for it. So now this gives me the key stalk plunger that I need to replace on one of the broken keys, and I can 3D print it, as I do have a 3D printer. I did do this a few times, but I have never got it to print successfully, and I'm thinking that the size of the plunger, and my printer is an FDM printer, and I'm thinking maybe it needs to be resin printed to get the better quality and the finer resolution. Okay, it's been 2 weeks, and well, finally they got here. Now to test one out. I will have these boards, bare boards, for sale if anyone is wanting one, as when I order them through PCB Way, there is like a minimum of 5 I have to get, so I need 2, so that I'll have a 2 or 3 spare anyway. I will also be putting the Gerber files up on PCB Way with a share option on it, so if you buy them I get a 10%, or if you order some I get 10% of what you pay for the boards, and this just helps me out to do more things like this, which I am doing. A start on the 808 power boards, and now I just need to find the 1N1004 diodes. Damn, it's been a few months for all the bits to arrive, and I have put them in a safe place. Do you have that feeling? But where is the safe place? Okay, doing some testing now, and the voltages all look good. Well, I got some more done on the 808 DC boards today, and after finishing off I had some issues, and I found I had to do one mod to the board. The fabrication house didn't see I had put a ground plane through the 5-volt rail on one side. On doing their pass inspection, did not pick this up either. Oh well, after that small fix, it wasn't too bad. It powered up fine, just the 12 volts a little low, but it was originally anyway. This is all with all new parts I have put on the board, except for the coil, because I don't know what it is. On power up, the 808 badged PC would not boot, but had a blank screen. So after trying a different screen, it was the same. I tried the Frankin machine and it booted up okay, and this was with the same screen. So on looking at the board, the Yamaha chip on the motherboard of the Spectra video looks a little crusty and corroded. So maybe a clean and possibly a reflow, we will see. The sound was not good on the Spectra video 808. So I took the board out, and it looks like the Silverfish liked it more than the last owner. Funny that. So off it comes. I need a new one to put in. So that's where I'm up to for now. I did find the Frankin PC had the RAM card to take it to 640k, not 512 as I first thought. But it would be a little flaky at times. So I took it out, and it seems okay now. This may be due to the dampness, and there could be corrosion on the card. This is a standard 8-bit XT card, so I can possibly replace it with another one, as it's just generic. Well, it's not too often I have to clean out cases like the SVI 808 PC. I have put the bolts and the DIN shield covers, etc., into a rust remover to soak, and this is a chemical one. Then I cleaned the case. What a state it was in. After that I did the main board. Now I'm sure they have not looked that clean in a very long time. I also started rust treating the shields as well. Not sure if I will paint them or not. The derusting was done with electrolysis, and I have done a separate video on this, which I will actually put in the description down below. The other thing was, I also wondered if I should retro bright the case. I'm on the fence with that one, as I've also heard that it'll come back no matter what you do, so I don't know. Also, on cleaning, I found what could be the problem with this board not showing me a screen. The 16 kHz crystal has a broken leg. I will need to dig out one of those and replace it with that, and maybe a few of the electrolytic caps that are on the board as well. It wouldn't hurt. The case is not too bad, but it still needs a clean. Or was it? Now that looks a lot better, I must say, definitely. The next thing I need to sort is the metal shields in the case, as they seen some pretty bad dampness. So I did try rust removal chemicals, and as though they did work after some time, and I'm talking over a day of soaking, because it seems they do take a lot of time to do their job this way. And after some searching the internet trolling, I have decided to do electrolysis. This is new to me, and after my sad 2 days chemical trial, I must say 12 hours in electrolysis is amazing. I don't think I'll be buying any more chemicals again, and it is safe as well. No bad chemicals, and it's cheap, really cheap. These are some pictures from after the electrolysis. The yellowing is what is called a rust bloom, and this is just a scum or a protection, and it washes off with warm water. And I also used a non-scratch pot pad, the nylon type ones, and also a nylon brush. This is the bottle type brush. Well, it had to happen. The wife got COVID-19. She got it from her boss on the Friday, and she's tested positive. So I have been playing with rust removal with electrolysis, as I too have to isolate. The next thing, when the anodes arrive, I decided to try nickel plating, as the shields on the DIN plugs and that were quite pitted and rusty, and I thought, I'll give this a go and see how it works. I set up a little tank for nickel plating and that, and I was going to make a separate video on it, but the cheap way of trying to do it, I was not very happy with the outcome of it. It was okay, but I was expecting a lot better, as I did with the rust removal. I was really stoked with that, and I sort of thought, I'll get a really, really good result out of using the electroplating the nickel, but it wasn't as good. You need to spend some good money in doing it chrome. That's the only way you're going to get it decent. I decided to shelve that, but here are some pictures of what I've done so far. With the weather the way it's been, and waiting for the nickel rods to turn up, I went to cleaning up the 808 keyboard and keys. I need to find an enter key for the keyboard, but maybe an old AT L-shaped key would fit. I just need to get one of around the same colour. I'll need to have a look in my stash of old PC keyboards that I have in the attic. I stripped down the keyboard some months back, as I needed to see if I could get some key plungers or to print some. And as I have said, it's a big thanks to Philip in Christchurch, as he reworked the SVI one from Thingiverse. That is the orange one you will see in the pictures. The first thing I did was to fix the LEDs on the top of the keyboard, as they had been repaired before, but I have attached them more solid, as they were just soldered on top. And it was after that I cleaned the board and the rubber keypads, then started to reassemble the unit. Reassembling the key plungers and the keys, you have to make sure the little wire clips are the right way around, but they come out and can be turned around if needed. The hardest part was holding the spring and the key in place while putting the plunger in the right way around, as it has two sliders it needs to go into. More assembly, or should that be assembly required. The keyboard's all done. I just need to find the enter key for it now. Well, as I was not happy with the final look of the metal shields, I decided I would primer them with grey rust primer paint, and I must say they look a lot nicer and smarter. Now to find an old PC speaker for the Slater Eaton one and to reassemble it. So here you have my journey so far with the 808. As with the others, there will be a part 2 to this, as these got shelved for some reason and I can't quite remember now what it was. All this was around the COVID era, so things got pretty mad over here during that, so they got put into plastic bins or totes, if you like to call them that, and the lids put on and put away. So that's where I am, and as I say, I'll be back with in part 2 with this, and hopefully I'm almost there to getting these working properly now. So I still got to find the key for the top of the keyboard. If anybody knows where there's any bits and pieces for these kicking around that are parts from dead machines or things like that, please drop me a line and let me know in a comment or whatever. Anybody know what the difference is on some of this stuff and has any documentation? Because I've seen these machines, but I've never seen a manual for one. So I'm pretty sure, like with most things, they would have come out with some form of a manual. Anybody can get any of that information to me. PDF format would be fine. Just make sure it's a good copy. That would be much appreciated. Anyway, this is where I'll wrap it up, guys. And as always, you have a good one, eh? Catch you next time.